Greetings. It is I, Susie Q. How you doing? What's showing up in your field, lighting you up, turning you on, and illuminating the goodness in your field. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's what I have to say. So, with that, oh my goodness, we're going to talk a little bit about some times when we've had some boo boos. I remember when I was a little girl, and I used to run all the time. Wherever I was going, I was running and running and running. And then I would get my knees all scraped up. And then I was even thinking about like this little boo boo over here. And I think I was riding a bicycle and I flew off or something. But sometimes we have these like little wounds, they're like, they're superficial. We can see it, And again, like I was a runner, right? I was running, running, running. And then I still have like little signs that I had some boo boos when I was younger. Even as a mature woman, I don't know if I'm mature, but still, we sometimes have some things that kind of show up that are superficial, and then sometimes some of the wounds that we have are not superficial, but they're more going on the inside. And those sometimes are the hardest ones to kind of reconcile with. Definitely, I've got, since a little kid, things on my knees, on my elbows, these different crazy things, but I don't really have any emotions about it anymore, about the little boo-boos. I thought it was fun. I was having a good time, right? But sometimes with the other feelings of woundedness, um, we have a different way of looking at that, right? Because I don't judge my knees or my elbows or some of the other places where I got kind of wounded, probably from bicycling and running. So with that, with the work that I do with quantum healing hypnosis technique, and also with the Akashic records, there shows up a lot of these energies that have maybe been from early childhood, possibly maybe in the more mature time of their life. They're maybe getting some wounds there. And then also some of these feeling tones that were not comfortable and maybe unresolved, possibly could come from a past life, a future life, or another parallel life, or something else. So sometimes these things, these wounded feelings, for folks that maybe had some issues with family, with friends, with relationships, maybe even an issue with themselves. Like who am I and what am I really doing here? What am I supposed to be doing? But those are some of those emotional things that aren't scars. They're just kind of in our thinking mind, and they're in our field. Our fields are huge, right? So when we look at that little Susie, riding her bike and then falling and then getting right back up, that wasn't too much of a serious wound, and there was no lingering energy around it. I continued to ride my bike and I continued to run real fast. So for some of the things that we don't see evidence of, right, is that a lot of times with the QHHT, or even with the Akashic Records, primarily with the Akashic Records, is when I look at the records for a person, it's kind of like a photograph, 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 and then you put it together and it looks like a scene, right? But you start seeing all of these different events that are showing up, and creating kind of like a loop, another loop about an event maybe when you were 5 or 6, and that loop keeps going. And then the more that you feed it and like respond to it and kind of lean into it, like what's happening now, then you might be able to access more information about it, but not from the time when you were little, but from the time now. And so when we look at this woundedness, the woundedness, it's not fun, right? But there's some things to way of looking at it. Like it could be like a picture show. It could be like a slow moving version of what happened as a little bitty you, or maybe a middle aged you, or whatever that is. Is that it's really important with the things that we can't see, but the things that we feel on the inside, It's really a great time, I think, for a lot of us because, golly, the astrological stuff is coming in really strong. The cosmology is coming in really strong, and then there's a lot of these beautiful energies that are coming into the planet and across probably all across everything, right? And we happen to be here in this experience. So I believe that at this time, at this most precious, beautiful time, this is a great time to be free to let some things go. And some people might ask me, well, they did that to me and they did, this and that and it was bad and God, I get it, right? But how long? But how long is it that you want to keep that breath of life and that story and you want to keep bringing that into your now moment? And so that is a challenge for a lot of people, especially if you've got a little woundedness, maybe it'll be a severe wound or something, or maybe just a superficial wound, then sometimes it's easier to move forward. But when we really go into these ideas of the emotion, the emotional state, and going back into what we call memory, but even with what we call memory, the memory itself, if it's like a little you or younger you, it's not going to be exactly what the event, how it happened, or what did happen. And so sometimes the things are so horrible that we can't even remember some of the energies. So, what I'd like to do, because of this energy field that's pretty wide open right now, it's pretty wide open for having a little bit more clarity and a little bit more kindness and love of self, is that we can start letting some things go. And when we say letting some things go, in my way of looking at things, we do let it go. We let some things go, and so because a lot of times, even with the QHHT or the Akashic records, they'll be saying but Susie, but Susie, but let's just say that what has happened, right? And here you are now. Here you are now. So beautiful and brilliant and so wise and so resilient and so courageous. What strength you have. All of these things have been coming forth as you take each step every day. You take a step every day, right? You keep moving, you keep taking those steps, going ahead and going further, and then you start slowly releasing some of that energy. But I think for right now, what I'd like to do, so I know a lot of people come in and they have big stories, right? And God, I have too. I used to be like, I'm going to tell you my story over and over and over and over again. And even for me, with some of the things in my life, it was like, I don't know, I kept telling the story because it maybe made sense, or maybe the story was, kind of helping another person to relate. But then every time I was talking about certain things, I'm like, I just am continuing to grow something that is already gone. The whole structure has collapsed, but I'm still bringing life into something and kind of reviving it, right? I'm reviving some of the stuff that was kind of yucky, right? Or uncomfortable, right? Or a little bit disturbing. So, so that's what we look at. So moving forward now, and some people are ready for this kind of work. It can be really quick too. It can be super quick, and it could also take a lifetime or two or three or four or eons. But I think for right now, for a lot of us here on planet Earth, beautiful humans, right? Beautiful, beautiful, yummy humans, is that we have opportunities to clearly say, I don't need that anymore. I just don't need whatever that was, that maybe I forgive it or I don't forgive it, or something just keeps showing up. So what I'd like to do now is we're going to just start moving into a little bit of releasing. And so we won't get into details about like what stuff is, but right now we're just kind of moving the energy to kind of create a space for whatever it is that's in your field, right? Good, bad, or indifferent, purple, green, or yellow. It doesn't matter. I usually identify things with color because I love color. So we're really releasing some things that might be pressing on your mind or in your heart, or or somewhere in a parallel life or a future life or a past life. anything there, any vows or contracts or any promises or any kind of commitments, commitments from another lifetime that kind of bled over. So you think you're doing the right thing, right? But so we're going to be clearing some of those things. We're also going to be clearing more things. We're also going to be working not only with some of the patterns from past life or present or future lives. We're going to be moving with what we call the body, the physical body that we have. And we could say from the soul aspect that from past, present, future, or any other parallel timelines, that we could work with any of the other bodies that are part of our soul group that have ever been usurped and been felt, like they were in the wrong place, the wrong experience, and all kinds of different things that were showing up that weren't right, right? So we're going to clear that. And so even with this, so we're working with the beautiful divinity of this idea of letting things go. Okay. And even with that, we're going to go ahead and move into the ancestral energy, the ancestral lineage, past, present, future, and concurrent running timelines and everything else. Is we're going to do a little bit of a clean sweep there too. Because a lot of times when things happen for our families and our family members and things, and sometimes we take on some of the tendencies and some of the kind of the habitual things that people do in family lines. And so right now we're just going to clear some of that stuff and just bring in that beautiful brilliance of light, just bring in that beautiful brilliance of light, for the ancestral lineage. And that's going to be super powerful, going past, present, future, any other timelines, parallel lives, or anything else. Then we're just going to be clearing that for that right now. So we're also going to be working with the body. And so sometimes when things happen, the body does these different things and we have different experiences with the body, is that we have opportunities to do some clearing with the body, because sometimes when things come up that are like uncomfortable and yucky or different or strange, maybe they're just like, freaking strange, right? Is that we can go in there and that we can kind of remove some of the emotional embodiment within the different organs or the tissues of the body or somewhere else in the body. But we can remove some of the emotional involvement and also releasing that now. So we're releasing that now. So that's good. Whew. Let's see what else we have here. So when we look at the idea, so I think we're complete with the releasing energies right now. So what you got going on? What you got going on in your field? What you got going on? What kind of stuff do you want to have in your field? What you got going on? What's good in your life right now? What are you finding the joy and the elation and that presence of simply just being here? How wonderful it is to be in this beautiful human family and this beautiful space that we live in. Beautiful place. So when we look at some of the things, some of the hurts or some of the wounds, superficial or not, right, is that we can do some clearing. And I would also suggest on your own time, right, is that when you start noticing that things keep kind of coming back, right? They kind of keep back, and you keep telling the story. Somebody asks you something, and then you go into the story, and that means that you're kind of continuing to create the perpetual loop. It just kind of keeps looping around, looping around, looping around. Is that you can immediately kind of have some sort of a trigger, not a trigger, but some sort of a meaning that maybe will help you to block any other more conversations about it. Because sometimes we use it like, oh, this maybe will help you because this is what helped me. And then you tell the story again and then you breathe life into it. So what we'd like to do is just go ahead and remind you that symbology is really good, especially if you're working with something that you're releasing and letting go of. You could, I used to do all kinds of mantras and all kinds of things when I was, first doing all this work. But if you can find a symbol, a color, or something that you relate to, and you can just, even right now, I just say, just go ahead and go to the light. Go ahead and go to the light. Even if it's kind of an energy that is non-beneficial, it is safe. You're precious and loved. You are precious and loved. And go to the light. It's that easy. Or you could go, I like the color blue. Then I could focus on, if I'm going down a little rabbit hole or something, I might just say blue. Thank you. Thank you, the color blue. Thank you, the color blue. But really, with some of the energies is just letting them know that they're precious, they're loved, no matter what's happened or what's been done. You're still precious, and we're going to send you back to the light. We're going to send you back to source, to God. It's going to be perfect. So I think that's it for now. This has been super fun, and namaste.